In what may be one of the most shocking stories I have ever seen, BuzzFeed does good reporting. That's the news. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I'll see you all next time. No, I'm kidding. But there's this viral story of people in scrubs standing in the street blocking cars. The cars had protesters, not all of them, but some of them were protesting the lockdown. And the news media has reported this far and wide as medical workers. We don't know that. There have been accusations that these people just bought scrubs and pretended to be nurses. They're wearing sunglasses and face masks. I'm going to call it like I see it. I think it's fake. 2 people. They say nothing, refuse to give any information to reporters. We can't see their faces. They're wearing no badges. They're just wearing scrubs. Yet the media has gone above and beyond to claim these were medical workers protesting these Trump chuds, these MAGA chuds. Check this out. Let me show you Google. What happened when healthcare workers confronted? Health workers face protests and dramatic photos. U.S. anti-lockdown rallies could surge, yada yada. Trump protesters push back. Health workers heckled. You see all these stories? Yeah, we got all the photos. You get it. News has gone nuts showing all of this very same thing. But it may be that it's fake. Look what BuzzFeed says. Much respect. I gotta say, hey, when you do good, you get credit. The photographer who took the viral photos of people in scrubs blocking anti-lockdown protesters in Denver described what happened. Allison McLaren said one of the anti-lockdown protesters pushed his car against a man in scrubs who was peacefully blocking protesters in Denver. Here's the photo. Let me see if there's some more photos. These went viral. There's a man in scrubs. There's a woman in scrubs. In no way can we ever prove that they're actually medical professionals unless they came out and said they were, which they didn't do. They declined to give any information. When this story first broke, I passively mentioned this because I wasn't focused on it, but I said there are people in scrubs. I don't know how you confirm this. BuzzFeed actually reports as well they could not independently verify they're actually healthcare workers, so why is everyone reporting it? Feel-good story, fake news, and that's one of the biggest problems with media. So hey, again, respect to BuzzFeed for actually reporting this properly. Let's read what happened, and I'm going to break down why I think it's fake. BuzzFeed says, like millions of others in the U.S., Allison McLaren, a Denver-based freelance photographer, is out of work during the lockdown. So she decided to go to the state capitol on Sunday to photograph hundreds of people who had gathered there to protest Colorado's stay-at-home order. Violating social distancing? Violating lockdown orders? You're not working, are you? Okay, look, she's a journalist, I get it. But come on, man. You can't criticize one and not the other. Fighting for civil liberties and your right to be out in the First Amendment, yes, we need that. Okay, that's essential too. The protest, dubbed Operation Gridlock, is part of a wave of similar demonstrations across the country by right-wing groups and conservatives who are calling for an end to lockdown measures implemented to stop the spread of COVID-19, the disease caused by the novel coronavirus. But McLaren soon decided to leave because many protesters at the demonstration didn't have masks on and weren't practicing social distancing. I didn't feel very safe health-wise, McLaren said. While walking toward her home from the Capitol, McLaren saw 2 people in scrubs and N95 masks standing in the middle of the street to block anti-lockdown protesters from going to the Capitol. This is it. This is what I needed, McLaren said, recalling the moment she witnessed the striking scene. I want you to notice that quote she said. This is what I needed. That is a common mentality within journalism. Her reaction wasn't, oh, this is interesting. It was, this is what I need. She knew what she was looking for. She knew the story she wanted to tell, and she just so happened to come across 2 people wearing scrubs who refused to give any information to anybody. Now, she's been accused of staging this. She's outright denied that. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't. She says, no, what do you want me to do? There's no evidence. But I do find it telling that at least her mentality on this was she already knew the story she wanted to tell, and lucky for her, she got it. It's really funny. I'm not going to accuse her of staging this, but I will point out, you may have seen all these prank channels where they just so happen to get the perfect reaction on camera because they stage it. Come on, man. If you wanted to go out and you said, I'm going to find this story, and you found it, that's luck. Often, journalists will frame things on purpose and look for evidence instead of just telling what the story that happened. And sure enough, she found what she was looking for. McLaren's photos of the scene perfectly captured the ongoing tension in the U.S. amid the coronavirus pandemic. Conservative demonstrators supported by Donald Trump are fighting against stay-at-home orders and demanding states be reopened, while healthcare workers are risking their lives fighting against the deadly pandemic that has taken more than 40 lives in this country. They don't mention any of the strife and the turmoil caused by the shutdown, though, which is unfair. There have been suicides. So the argument, and conservatives are saying this, there's an argument that, like, if the shutdown saved one life, then it's worth doing. But what about the lives already lost? Because we've lost lives. If the shutdowns cost one life, isn't that going too far? McLaren said that people in cars were continually honking at the man and the woman in scrubs. They both stood their ground, even as the light turned green. One woman in a car holding a Land of the Free poster leaned out of her window and repeatedly yelled at the male counter-protester, "Go to China," and other hateful things. Hateful? She said, "If you want communism, go to China." I mean, sure, you can go to China for communism. McLaren's boyfriend, Mark Zen, took a video of the woman screaming at the man who stood quietly through her tirade. Here's what he said. Two nurses who have witnessed firsthand the toll COVID is taking in Colorado stood up and peacefully counter-protested. Here is how they were treated. I had to join them. I don't buy it. Sorry, I don't buy it. You don't know they're nurses. These people wanted a story. They perfectly found it, and they joined them? I'm calling shenanigans, man. I don't know if they staged it, if you staged it. You've provided no evidence, but the story is going viral, and everyone's just acting like it's true. We all saw what happened with Covington. We all saw what happened with Jussie Smollett. How hard would it be for someone to go buy scrubs and just do this? Sorry, I'm not playing these games, man. You got to prove it, or I don't care. You got a video of a guy wearing scrubs? I don't care. Two people. No mass protest, a perfect photo op, and that was it? Spare me, man. I'm not buying it. She says, "Go to China if you want communism." The woman yelled, "Go to China. You go to work, why can't I go to work? I've saved people's lives too." The nurses stood their ground, McLaren said. They were very peaceful, and I didn't hear a single word come out of the guy's mouth. BuzzFeed asks, "Are you one of the counter-protesters wearing scrubs in the pictures? Email this reporter," with the reporter's information. The driver of another vehicle even bumped the front of his car against the man in the scrubs and began yelling at him. McLaren said he was just really angry. This guy's not a protester. This guy certainly does not look like a Trump supporter. He looks like somebody trying to go drive. After the light turned green, police officers asked the two counter-protesters to move out of the road, and they complied. A spokesperson for the Denver Police Department told BuzzFeed News they were not cited. McLaren said that police officers were nice enough to let the counter-protesters peacefully protest in the middle of the road during the red light. Now, let me just say this while we're here. Look, we've seen all these viral TikToks of the nurses dancing and doing their thing, and I find it really cringy. I really, really don't like it. But, I don't care, man. Whatever makes you happy, whatever floats your boat. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean you can't do it. I'm just not going to watch it, right? We had a bunch of people seen dancing, and a lot of the criticism was that you're claiming to be overwhelmed, but you got time to do these funky dances? And the doctors and nurses have said, we work with no days off. So before our shift, or yes, for a few moments, we'll dance to boost morale. That's a good answer, man, and I agree with it. Come on, you can't expect these people to be curmudgeons the whole time. They're going to have a 15-minute break to eat lunch and drink water, right? And in that break, they can do a little dance for taking off their mask. Calm down, everybody. However, I thought these people were working with no days off because they were overwhelmed and needed to boost their morale with these fancy little videos. Who were these two medical workers who just so happened to not be working so that they could go out and protest? I'm sorry, man. I don't buy it. I'm not here to make a direct claim statement of fact. I don't know. But you better show me some evidence. But you got all these media outlets saying, look at these brave frontline workers. You got proof? Responding to accusations she had personally staged the photos, McLaren said, absolutely, I did not. She said she did not know if the two counter-protesters were actually healthcare workers. Oh, but she called them nurses several times. Maybe they're doctors. BuzzFeed News has been unable to independently verify if they were employed at any local hospitals. I don't believe that they are. But regardless of who they are, it's more about the message they were sending. Boom! And there it is. Even the woman who took the photos does not believe they're actually medical professionals. So how about all of these news outlets that latched onto this story shut up? The woman who took the photo says, oh no, I'm sorry. I got that way wrong. She said, I believe they are. All right, I was wrong about that one. Okay, anyway, I'll walk that back. I don't believe her. You've got no evidence. She said, I believe that they are, but regardless of who they are, it's about the message they were sending. That sounds to me like kind of downplaying whether or not they were actually healthcare workers. Well, I certainly got overly excited for misreading something. I'll eat that one. I deserve the criticism. By all means, comment and tell me I'm an idiot. I read it wrong. She says it's more about these two roads colliding. The nurses are trying to be peaceful and say, go home, please. And the other side is stressed and angry and scared and they want to reopen. No one's in agreement. It's kind of telling this entire story of what's happening right now in one image. McLaren believes the photos went viral because nurses are on the front line and everyone is so supportive of them and thankful. Yes, it was an obvious photo op. We all knew it would work. Why were these people wearing disguises? You know what? Maybe it's possible they really do work in healthcare. Maybe they wore the disguises because they don't want to lose their jobs. Or maybe it's because they don't. They don't want to be identified. They were wearing reflective sunglasses. You couldn't see their faces. You couldn't tell who they were. A reporter on the scene says, remarkable scene at 12th and Grant where two healthcare workers from a Denver area hospital, they declined to say which or give their names, are standing in the crosswalk during red lights as a reminder. They say of why shutdown measures are in place. So they're actually claiming they are healthcare workers. You know what, man? In a traditional news era, before the age of the internet, I'd imagine they'd track down who these people were before reporting this. But in the age of social media, photo's going to go viral. People are going to eat it up. So I'll tell you what. I've been tricked too many times. Like I mentioned, Covington, Smollett. I'm not going to buy it. You got these two people, it's too easy. I could put on a clown costume, go out and protest, and be like, look, clowns are opposing the protests. It means nothing. Put on your badge, tell us who you are, stand behind what you believe, otherwise I don't want to hear it. If you don't want to tell me what you believe and who you are or why you're here, I'm not interested, because you won't put your name on what you believe. To me, fake news. But I guess we'll see, or maybe we won't. I got one more segment coming up for you in a few minutes, and I will see you all shortly.